In these double hydro teams, that's gone entirely. Now you might be thinking, you might be seeing this and being like, Jeff, there's no healer here. There is a healer here. You don't see the healer, but it is there. It is there. It is most definitely there. I think people often don't realize that the healing provided by ProtoAmber is not based on the holder's HP, it's based on the target's HP. Mualani is an HP scaler, and you're getting Hydro Resonance. So you do get a lot of max HP. On top of that, your support set options for Mona in this team suck ass, which means that unironically, her best set damage-wise is Song of Days Past. Because you have such bad uptime on Instructor in this team, you only get it on one of Mualani's hits, it's actually getting beat by Song of Days Past. And Song of Days Past is another 15 healing bonus.
The idea of playing Mona as the healer, why does that sound so familiar? Of course. I know why it's so familiar. It's because we even have a name for it. Medic Mona. Because Mona, being a mage, means she has access to ProtoAmber, which I believe is like still the only weapon in the game that actively gives your characters additional functionality on top of whatever they already have. When the character ults, they regenerate 18 energy and heal the entire team for 18% of their own HP over 6 seconds. Now, whilst this is a perfectly good additional function on a lot of non-healers like Nahida, Sucrose, Lanyard, what's great about this weapon on Mona is that it's an additional function on top of all the buffs that Mona can provide, especially in a Hexerei team. If you've been living under a rock, the TLDR of the Mona buffs are: her normal attacks and charge attacks can buff Vape damage. They can extend enemy omen generation by up to 8 seconds. Her C1 gets stronger for off-fielders. Her C2 gives the team 80 EM. Her C4 gives Hexerei characters an additional 15% crit damage. And her C6 further makes her charge attack stronger against enemies affected by omens. We don't really care about her C6 when it comes to being Medic Mona, of course. So on top of all of that, when you add the damage percent buff from applying omens, being able to turn Mona into a team-wide healer is actually a pretty huge deal, as she can then easily fit into a slot that is often very important for another very powerful character called Furina. Now, Jeff has suggested using Song of Days Past as the artifact set for Medic Mona, and it definitely makes a lot of sense if he is playing Mona in that kind of Mualani team. However, let's not get it twisted. It is, in my opinion, not the overall best artifact set for Mona in this role for a couple of stipulations. It requires a total of 15k healing to cap out its output, which isn't actually hard to achieve, since as a baseline, most non-HP scaling characters are hovering around the 15k HP mark, which would mean that they're getting individually around 2.7k healing as a baseline. All 4 of these characters getting that healing, including overflow, would result in around 10.8k. But then we get to add plus 15% healing bonus from the 2-piece set bonus. This raises the individual healing to around about 3.1k or 12.4k team healing. And if you were to also add in a healing hat, which you should, then you're raising that individual healing to around about 4k or 16k team healing, which is definitely over that 15k healing cap, which, by the way, just for those who are playing at home, is a little bit north of 27% of each character's own HP getting healed if we just talk about that kind of baseline healing, so just keep that in mind for later. Now, the buff, however, affects the active party member, with 1200 base damage buff before multipliers. That's basically what it is. It's kind of like a Yunjin buff. And you'd have only 5 hits within a 10-second duration, which of course is perfect for like a Mualani team, don't get it wrong, but that's basically all you're getting out of this set. It's definitely good, and I have used it before in like a French low team, for example, so I do recommend it just from a general perspective. An alternative is Clam, but I don't think that's going to work all that much because Medic Mona's healing is not as continuous or as vigorous as you would like it to be. That's why it works a lot better for someone like Kokomi. Hey, that rhymes. Maidens is a very straightforward artifact set. Using Mona's skill or burst results in the team getting a 20% incoming healing receive buff. Now, whilst this is actually a separate buff to the healing bonus stat increases that we're getting from both the two-piece effect and of course the healing hat, the reality is when you're looking at the total healing that you're getting, you just add them together. So you are just basically adding plus 20% to your healing bonus stat to figure out what your actual effective healing ends up being. So in this case, with the 15% from the two-piece set and the 35.9% from the hat and the 20% from the four-piece set, we are totaling an effective 71% healing bonus. This brings Medic Mona's healing up to just under 31% of each character's total HP. Now, there's 4 particular reasons why even this seemingly small difference in the healing I think is actually quite important. Every bit of HP counts if you're fighting something that does a lot of damage, obviously. For HP scalers like your Mualanis, your Leolans, depending on how you've built them, this could be the difference of another 1000 HP getting healed, and there's also Furina. Now, remember what the percentage healing was for Song of Days Past, just a little bit above 28% for each character. That comes out to just 112% from a team of 4, which means 112 Fanfare stacks. Well, the reality is that there'll be more Fanfare stacks because of the gradual build-up of additional incoming healing bonus, but we're not going to get into that because that involves some crazy math, I think. I don't know, maybe not. Maidens results in just under 31% for each character. That comes out to 123% from a team of 4, with even more coming from that aforementioned gradual build-up of Fanfare translating to incoming healing bonus. Throughout a 20-second rotation, Salon Solitaire seems to drain up to 58% of each character's HP, provided they aren't below 50% HP to begin with. So, ignoring that gradual build-up of incoming healing bonus, we can assume the Fanfare generation is basically doubled when we account not just for the amount generated by healing, but also the amount generated by Furina draining their HP. The difference is therefore 224 stacks versus 246 stacks, which at Crown Furina ult is a 56 damage percent for the team versus 61.5 damage percent for the team. I personally would prefer the higher Fanfare stack count and more survivable team over my on-fielder doing 5 hits that do more damage per rotation, with the exception of someone like Mualani, who can forward vape every hit while stacking a lot of crit. Hey, that rhymes. So when you put that all together with the various buffs that Mona can provide, I just want to briefly talk about my favorite teams that I have actually been playing with the new and improved Medic Mona. Luna Charged with Fischl, because Fischl is actually required if you want to have an Ascending Lean team and Hexerei whilst having 2 characters that you've most likely built for damage. When Columbina drops, we can swap out Ino, and then we can maybe consider swapping Fischl out for someone like Sucrose instead. Burning teams. The premise is that we're occasionally turning the Burning team into a Burgeon team, but we're really just trying to apply the huge Omen buff so that someone like Emilie can do even more damage. Durin Off-Field Vape. If Durin is the only Pyro character, Furina should be enough Hydro App, so you don't need to on-field Mona like that, but you probably still want to if you want to get some additional Vape damage. If you want to do double Pyro Vape, it's my experience that strategic timing and placement of Mona's skill is pretty much needed. It can get finicky. Mualani. The Mona buffs definitely make her a very formidable alternative to the usual supports for a Mualani team like Shillinen. Her Hydro is very useful for getting a Hydro Aura for Sucrose to swell, so that we have Hydro Red Shred and EM. That being said though, I can't really say that I'm a fan of the Durin variant of this team, mainly because there doesn't seem to be enough opportunities to take full advantage of his energy regen mechanic. I seem to only be able to use it once per rotation, so I unironically find ER problems with him on this team. And I think that'll do it for this video. Medic Mona continues to be one of the more interesting healers in the game. We're definitely trading that super high defensive utility that you normally get from like your Baijus, your Kokomis, for just really high offensive utility that Mona normally provides. DPS Mona is also pretty interesting as well. I don't know if I'll do a video on her just yet, but we'll just have to see. I haven't had much luck trying to play a forward vape team with her though, so that's kind of why I'm not liking it as much. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. what kind of Medic Mona team do you like to play? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Genshin Impact action, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Ceremony. To wait for a rest. You can't run.